This screencast is about Act 4, Scene 3. I'm working on the assumption that you have already read the scene. This is the ending, in which we see that Macduff's son and Macduff's wife both are killed by the murderers, and the claim is that Macduff has been a traitor. If we work backward through this scene, we'll see a lot of moments where we have lots of contradictions. For example, here, the son makes the claim that there are more liars and swearers in the world than there are honest men. And here, we have additional reference to those who swear and lie, and to whether or not doing so is related to being a traitor. Don't forget about the gunpowder plot, in which Jesuits were killed for being equivocators. Equivocators swear and lie, according to the king. But if we pay attention, special attention, to the beginning of the scene with Ross, the scene opens with Lady Macduff questioning why her husband has run away. You should remember that Macduff has gone to England to join Malcolm so that he can come back and save Scotland. But in so doing, he has left his wife and son in this dangerous place, and his wife is understandably upset. Ross contradicts her in a way, essentially implying that her husband perhaps is wise, and that his flight to England is not about fear, it's about wisdom. We should be surprised by this because the last time we saw Ross and Macduff together, Ross was pledging to go to Scone to watch Macbeth get the crown, while Macduff, on the other hand, was pledging to go home to Fife and avoid Macbeth. In fact, at the Banquo banquet, Macduff was noticeably absent, and Macbeth was quite upset about that. Lady Macduff challenges Ross and whether her husband is really wise. She asserts that he has left because he doesn't love them. And her example is an interesting one. She describes these birds. A wren is very small and not so impressive, but still, because it has love, it'll fight against an owl, which is much more likely to defeat it. Down here, Ross continues to defend Macduff, claiming that Macduff is noble and wise and judicious, which is contrary to what Ross seemed to imply earlier. The most interesting line for me is here. Mostly because of the switch in pronouns. Up here, Ross is referring directly to Macduff, but here he changes to the plural we pronoun. We are traitors and do not know ourselves. We hold rumor from what we fear, yet know not what we fear. We float upon a wild and violent sea, each way and move. This is interesting to me because by changing to the plural we, he includes himself as somebody who is sometimes fearful but doesn't know what he fears, and floats back and forth in this sea that is violent and wild, not being quite sure which way to go. Also interesting to me is this long dash, because he cuts himself off and says, I have to leave. He also says, I'll be back. In fact, I'll be back soon. The question is, where do you think he's going?